Today we are going to discuss the Gaussian wave packet. The problem statement is as follows. A free particle has the initial wave function psi of x comma t is equal to 0 is a e raised to power minus ax square. That is, its initial wave function is Gaussian in nature. So, the question asks for calculating the time t at which the minimum uncertainty principle is satisfied, that is time t at which we have sigma x dot sigma p is equal to h cross by 2. So, before solving this question, there are few preliminaries regarding the free particle and also 3 integrals which we will frequently use while solving this question. So, I would now like to discuss the preliminaries. So, the preliminaries regarding the free particle are that the wave function of the free particle at any time t is given as 1 by square root of 2 pi integral minus infinity to infinity phi of k e raised to power iota kx minus h bar k square by twice m t dk. But the question that remains is, how do you evaluate phi of k? You see, that is very simple. You simply substitute t is equal to 0 and you get 1 by square root of 2 pi minus infinity to infinity phi of k e raised to power iota kx dk. So, we realize that phi of x comma t equal to 0 is the Fourier transform of phi of k, and from Plancherel's theorem one can write that phi of k is equal to 1 by square root of 2 pi minus infinity to infinity psi of x comma t is equal to 0 e raised to power minus iota kx dx. Now, in the problem statement, the initial wave function is given, which is Gaussian in nature. So, one can calculate phi of k, and once we have found out the value of phi of k, it can be substituted back here to find the wave function of the free particle at any time t. So, this is how we will proceed to solve this question. But before that, we will require the use of some integrals, which I will discuss now. So, the first integral that we will use is minus infinity to infinity e raised to power minus alpha x square dx is equal to square root of pi by alpha. So, the proof is very simple. Take left hand side, that is minus infinity to infinity e raised to power minus alpha x square dx. Now, this is nothing but let this be equal to I. One can also write I as minus infinity to infinity e raised to power minus alpha y square dy, and you see, if you multiply both of them, you get I square is equal to minus infinity to infinity e raised to power minus alpha x square plus y square, and we have dx dy. Now, we are going to have a change of variables from xy to r theta, such that x square plus y square is equal to r square and tan theta is equal to y by x, as you can see from this picture. X, y, these coordinates can be given in the form of r comma theta as well, where r is the radial distance and the theta is the angle that this line makes with the positive x axis. So this is how we are going for change of variables. Now what about the limits for r and theta? We find out that since x is going from minus infinity to infinity and y is also going from minus infinity to infinity, so we have essentially have all the four quadrants to cover, and that can be covered by taking from r 0 to infinity, and theta will go from 0 to 2 pi. Now making all these changes, one can rewrite I square as, but before discussing that, the area element in the polar coordinates is equal to r dr d theta. So dx dy will be replaced by r dr d theta. So I square is equal to minus infinity to infinity, or so we will first write the limits for theta. Theta going from 0 to 2 pi, r going from 0 to infinity, not minus, so 0 to infinity, e raised to power minus alpha r square r dr d theta. But since the integrals are independent, one can evaluate the integral of theta separately, which will give us simply 2 pi, and then we have 0 to infinity e raised to power minus alpha r square r dr. Let alpha r square is equal to u, we have 2 alpha r dr is equal to du. The limits will remain the same. So on substituting the changes, we have 0 to infinity e raised to power minus u du by 2 alpha. So we simply get pi by alpha, since integral 0 to infinity e raised to power minus u du is equal to 1. And finally we have I is equal to square root of pi by alpha. So we have proved that the value of this integral is equal to square root of pi by alpha. So the second integral that we will use is minus infinity to infinity e raised to power minus cx square plus f of x dx is equal to e raised to power f square by 4c into square root of pi by c. So let's prove this integral. You see, the proof is also very simple. So if we take the left hand side, it is simply equal to minus infinity to infinity e raised to power minus cx square plus f of x dx. We will basically complete the squares in the argument of the exponential function. So we have minus infinity to infinity e raised to power minus, so this can be written as root cx whole square, and we will multiply and divide by 2 root c by 2 root c f, and thus we can see that we can add and subtract f square by 4c minus f square by 4c, and then we have dx. This can be further simplified as e raised to power minus root cx, we will complete the square for these three terms, plus f by 2 root c whole square, and then this minus term and this minus term, they will give us plus, so e raised to power f square by 4c dx. Since this is a constant, this can be brought out, the integral. So we have e raised to power f square by 4c minus infinity to infinity e raised to power. Now I will also bring out root c, which will give me c x plus, with the minus sign, x plus f by 2c whole square dx. Now let y is equal to x plus f by 2c. So the limits will remain same and dy is equal to dx, and we get this is equal to e raised to power f square by 4c integral minus infinity to infinity e raised to power minus cy square dy. But we have recently evaluated this integral. This was equal to square root of pi by the coefficient of the quadratic term. So this is nothing but e raised to power f square by 4c square root of pi by c. Hence we have proved that the value of this integral is equal to this. Now the third integral that we will use very frequently while solving this particular problem is minus infinity to infinity x raised to power n e raised to power minus gx square dx. This is nothing but equal to the gamma function of n plus 1 by 2 divided by g raised to power n plus 1 by 2, provided n is even, or if in case n is odd, the value of the integral is 0. Now let's prove this. Now first we will take the case when n is odd. If n is odd, this function is odd, then obviously we know from the properties of the integrals that the definite integrals, that the value of the integral in case the function is odd will be 0. I will take a simple example, that minus infinity to infinity x cube e raised to power minus let us say g is equal to 2, g is some constant, 2x square. This is nothing but equal to 0. However, this is not true when n is even and we have a non-zero value for the integral when n is even. So let's solve that. But before beginning that, let me remind you the definition of the gamma function. So gamma of x is equal to 0 to infinity, or rather I should write gamma of n to make calculations smoother and easier. So gamma of n is equal to integral 0 to infinity t raised to power n minus 1 e raised to power minus t dt. If we can reduce this integral into this form, then we are done. So the easy way would be, let g x square is equal to t. So one can substitute x as t by g raised to power half. If we differentiate both sides, we have g 2x dx is equal to dt. Thus dx is equal to dt by 2gx, but x is equal to t by g raised to power half. Now this is nothing but equal to dt by square root of, so we have 2 square root of gt. Now let's substitute everything, but before that let me first rewrite the integral. So this is minus infinity to infinity xn e raised to power minus gx square dx. In case n is even, this is an even function, so this will become 2 integral 0 to infinity xn e raised to power minus gx square dx. Now if we make all the substitutions that we have discussed earlier, we have 2, the limits will remain the same, 0 to infinity. If you remember, x is equal to t by g raised to power half, so this will be t by g raised to power n by 2 e raised to power minus t. We have taken gx square is equal to t, and dx is equal to dt by 2. So we have dt by 2 square root of gt. This 2 and 2 gets cancelled and we are left with 0 to infinity t raised to power n minus 1 by 2 e raised to power minus t dt divided by g raised to power n plus 1 by 2. Now the numerator is nothing but equal to gamma of n minus half plus 1, n minus half plus 1 divided by g raised to power n plus half by 2. This is nothing but gamma of n plus 1 by 2 divided by g raised to power n plus 1 by 2. So we have proven all three integrals, and now we can proceed to solve our question. So let's first look at the wave function, the initial wave function. So we have psi of x comma 0 is equal to a e raised to power minus ax square. Now this is not normalized. We have to normalize. So minus infinity to infinity psi star psi dx is equal to 1. We have minus infinity to infinity a star e raised to power minus ax square, so it will remain same since there is no complex term, into e raised to power minus ax square dx is equal to 1. So we have a star a minus infinity to infinity e raised to power minus 2ax square dx is equal to 1. Thus we have mod a square integral minus infinity to infinity e raised to power minus 2ax square dx is equal to 1. Now if you remember, we have already evaluated this. This is equal to square root of pi by the coefficient of the quadratic term. So this is equal to mod a square into square root of pi by 2a is equal to 1. So we have the value of the normalization constant as 2a by pi raised to power 1 by 4. So this is the value of the normalization constant. So the initial wave function is 2a by pi raised to power 1 by 4 e raised to power minus ax square. Now we are in a scenario where one can find out the value of phi of k. I will rewrite it again. This is equal to 1 by root of 2 pi minus infinity to infinity e raised to power minus iota kx, then psi of x comma 0 into dx. This will become 1 by square root of 2 pi minus infinity to infinity e raised to power minus iota kx. Then we have 2a by pi raised to power 1 by 4 e raised to power minus ax square dx. And then we have 1 by square root of 2 pi minus infinity to infinity. I will bring out this term outside. So we have 1 by square root of 2 pi 2a by pi raised to power 1 by 4 e raised to power minus ax square plus iota kx dx. So this is nothing but the second integral that we discussed. This one, we have to identify what is c, what is f. So we can see c is equal to a, f is equal to iota k. So the value of this integral is, so the terms outside are 2a by pi raised to power 1 by 4. So the value of this integral is e raised to power f square by 4c. So f square is equal to minus k square. So this is minus k square by 4, c is a. Then we have square root of pi by c, which is a. If we simplify this, we see that square root pi and square root pi gets cancelled. Here we have 2 raised to power half, 2 raised to power 1 by 4. So in the denominator we will have 2 raised to power 1 by 4. Then we have pi raised to power 1 by 4, and here we have a raised to power 1 by 4 and a raised to power half. So this will also go in the denominator, a raised to power 1 by 4, and the numerator we will have e raised to power minus k square by 4a. This becomes e raised to power minus k square by 4a divided by 2 pi a raised to power 1 by 4. having evaluated the value of phi of k, now we are in a capacity to find out the wave function of the free particle at any given time t. So the wave function at any given time t is simply equal to 1 by square root of 2 pi minus infinity to infinity phi of k e raised to power iota kx minus h bar k square t by 2m, and then we have dk. We simply substitute the value of phi of k in this expression to get 1 by square root of 2 pi. I take out 1 by 2 pi a raised to power 1 by 4 common outside. So we have minus infinity to infinity e raised to power minus k square by 4a dotted with e raised to power iota kx minus h bar k square t by 2m dk. We are again have a form which was similar to the integral to this integral. So we have to identify c and f. So c is the coefficient of the quadratic term, which is 1 by 4a, and then we have plus iota h bar t by 2m. We are going to take 1 by 4a common. We have 1 plus 2 iota h bar at by m. What is f in this scenario? It is equal to minus iota x. Do not make this mistake. It is not equal to minus iota k. It is minus iota x, since the integration is with respect to the variable k. So one can rewrite the expression as 1 by square root of 2 pi, then 1 by 2 pi a raised to power 1 by 4. So now we have square root of pi by c. 4a goes in the numerator. So we have 1 plus 2 iota h bar at by m, and then we have e raised to power f square. This will be simply minus x square by 4c, and c is 1 by 4a. Do not confuse this is a multiplication sign. So I will just write 4 by 4a 1 plus 2 iota h bar at by m. What we are going to do now is let 2 h bar at by m is equal to beta. So the above expression becomes 1 by square root of 2 pi 1 by 2 pi a raised to power 1 by 4 square root of 4a pi 1 plus iota beta, then e raised to power, this 4 and 4 gets cancelled, a goes in the numerator, ax square 1 plus iota beta. This can be further simplified. The square root pi and square root pi gets cancelled, and then we have 2a by pi raised to power 1 by 4 1 over 1 plus iota beta e raised to power minus ax square 1 plus iota beta. We have found out the wave function at any given time. Now we must calculate the probability density. Mod psi square is simply equal to psi star psi. So this will be 2a by pi raised to power half, then 1 over 1 minus iota beta into 1 plus iota beta, and in the numerator we will have e raised to power minus ax square 1 plus iota beta into e raised to power minus ax square 1 minus iota beta. So let's first calculate what is 1 plus iota beta plus 1 minus iota beta. This is simply equal to 2 by 1 plus beta square. This term is also 1 plus beta square. So the wave the probability density becomes 2a by pi raised to power half 1 over square root of 1 plus beta square e raised to power minus 2ax square 1 plus beta square. We will make another substitution here. Let omega is equal to square root a over 1 plus beta square. Now one can rewrite this as 2a by pi, 2 by pi raised to power half. So this a and this 1 plus beta square and the combined square root will give me omega e raised to power minus 2 omega square x square. So this is the probability density of finding the free particle at position x at any given time t. If you remember, the time t is hidden in the omega, and in omega it is present in beta. Now let's plot the probability density at t equal to 0 and for times greater than 0. So at t is equal to 0, let's see what is omega. Omega is nothing but a over 1 plus beta square, and beta is 2 h bar at by m whole square. If you remember, we took beta is 2 h bar at by m. So at t equal to 0, omega is simply root a, and then probability density becomes 2 by pi raised to power half root a e raised to power minus 2ax square. This is nothing but square root of 2a by pi e raised to power minus 2ax square. If you look at the initial wave function, so this was our initial wave function, and if we find out the probability density at t equal to 0, this is nothing but 2a by pi raised to power half e raised to power minus 2ax square. This shows that all our calculations so far have been correct, as we have retrieved the initial probability density. If we plot this as a function of x, we see that it is Gaussian in nature. Remember, this is for t equal to 0. So the plot will be Gaussian in nature. This is not symmetric, but I hope that you get the idea. What about for times t greater than 0? What will be the scenario? As we can see, the amplitude of the probability density is 2 by pi raised to power half omega. This is the amplitude of this is the function, this is the amplitude. Now for t greater than 0, we see that the denominator will increase, as a result omega will go down. So the amplitude of the probability density function will also go down. Now what will happen to the standard deviation? If you remember, for a Gaussian function, some h of x is nothing but equal to a e raised to power minus x square by 2 sigma square, where I have not normalized a, but it is some constant a, and the mean is 0. For this we realize, if we compare h of x and this, we find out that 2 sigma square is nothing but equal to 1 by 2 omega square, and then sigma is equal to 1 by 2 omega. For times greater than 0, as the omega goes down, the amplitude goes down, but the standard deviation increases or the variance increases. So what will happen? That the probability density curve will broaden and flatten out. This will be the behavior at times t greater than 0. Now that we have studied the behavior of the probability density at in the two cases above, let's find out the expectation values for these operators. First, let me rewrite the probability density. So this omega square is equal to, we have square root of 2 by pi omega e raised to power minus 2 omega square x square, if you remember this equation. Now if we calculate the expectation value, this is nothing but equal to square root of 2 by pi minus infinity to infinity, omega is independent of x, it will also come out, x e raised to power minus 2 omega square x square dx. Now this is an odd function, so the value of the integral is 0. So the expectation value of the position operator is 0, which also gives me that the expectation value of the position operator is also 0, as this is equal to m, the total derivative of the position operator with respect to time. Since this is 0, this is also equal to 0. Now we must calculate the expectation value of the square of the position operator. This will be equal to root 2 by pi, omega will again come out, minus infinity to infinity, x square e raised to power minus 2 omega square x square dx. If you compare this with this integral, in our case n is even, n is 2, and then g is equal to, so you can see that n is equal to 2 and then g is equal to 2 omega square. So the value of the integral will be square root of 2 by pi omega. This will be gamma of n plus 1 by 2. So this is gamma function of 3 by 2 divided by the coefficient of the x square term, which is 2 omega square raised to power n plus 1 by 2, which is 3 by 2. So gamma of 3 by 2 is half gamma half. This is equal to square root of pi by 2. So this becomes 2 by pi omega square root of pi by 2, 2 raised to power 3 by 2, and this is omega cube. As we can see, this simply becomes 1 by 4 omega square. So the expectation value of the x square operator is 1 by 4 omega square. Now comes the task of evaluating the p square expectation. Now this is nothing but equal to minus infinity to infinity psi star h cross by I del by del x whole square into psi dx. This will be nothing but minus h cross square minus infinity to infinity psi star del square psi by del x square dx. So we basically have to find out psi star and the second derivative of psi. So let me rewrite the wave function of the free particle at any given time t. So this is the form. So we have psi of x comma t is equal to 2a by pi raised to power 1 by 4 1 over 1 plus iota beta, then e raised to power minus ax square by 1 plus iota beta. For simplification, let capital B is equal to 2a by pi raised to power 1 by 4 into 1 over square root of 1 plus iota beta, and small b is equal to a by 1 plus iota beta. If we substitute all of this back into the wave function, we get psi of xt is equal to b e raised to power minus bx square. Now if we take psi star, we get b star e raised to power minus b star x square. Remember, b is complex in nature, so we will have b star. And the first derivative of psi with respect to x, keeping time constant, is equal to minus 2bb x e raised to power minus bx square. And the second derivative is minus 2bb. So we have 1 minus 2bx square e raised to power minus bx square. One can finally write psi star del square psi by del x square is equal to, so b star b will give me mod b square, then I also have minus 2b e raised to power minus b plus b star x square, and then finally we have 1 minus 2bx square. So let's first calculate mod of b square. So mod of b square is b star b. This will be equal to 2a by pi raised to power half into 1 over 1 plus iota beta and then 1 minus iota beta. This is equal to 2a by pi raised to power half into square root or 1 over square root 1 plus beta square. But if you remember, we took omega is equal to square root of a by 1 plus beta square. So one can write mod b square is equal to 2 by pi square root into omega. So what about b plus b star? Here one can write b star is a over 1 minus iota beta, then b plus b star simply becomes 2a by 1 plus beta square, but a over 1 plus beta square is omega square, so this is 2 omega square. Let's substitute both of these relations here. So we get minus 2b mod b square is square root of 2 by pi omega. This is equal to e raised to power minus 2 omega square x square. Finally we have 1 minus 2bx square. Thus the expectation value of the square of the momentum operator is minus h cross square minus infinity to infinity psi star del square psi by del x square dx. We are just going to substitute these values here to get 2b h cross square root of 2 by pi omega. Then we have minus infinity to infinity e raised to power minus 2 omega square x square 1 minus 2bx square dx. Now when we further evaluate this using the third integral that we discussed using this, so the first integral is minus infinity to infinity e raised to power minus 2 omega square x square dx. This is nothing but equal to square root of pi by the coefficient of the x square term, which is 2 omega square. This becomes square root of pi by 2 into 1 by omega. What about the second integral? So this is, the second integral is minus infinity to infinity. This is minus 2b e raised to power minus 2 omega square x square dx. N is equal to 2, g is equal to 2 omega square. So this becomes gamma of 3 by 2 omega square, which is g raised to power 3 by 2 and the constants, which is minus 2b. So gamma of 3 by 2, as we have seen earlier, is square root of pi by 2. Then this is minus 2b. This can be written as 2 raised to power 3 by 2 omega cube. 2 gets cancelled and we are left with minus b root pi by 2 omega root 2 or minus b by 2 omega square root of pi by 2. Substitute both of these values here to get, so mod of the expectation of the p square operator is 2b h cross square root of 2 by pi omega. Then the first integral was square root of pi by 2 1 by omega minus b by, so this is omega cube, so b by 2 omega cube square root of pi by 2. What we are going to do now is we will take out square root of pi by 2 into 1 by omega outside to get 2b h cross square root of 2 by pi omega dot with square root of pi by 2 into 1 by omega, and inside we have 1 minus b by 2 omega square. So these terms, they get cancelled and we are left with 2b h cross square 1 minus b by 2 omega square. But 1 minus b by 2 omega square is 1 minus b. b is a over 1 plus iota beta. A over 1 plus iota beta, and omega square is a over 1 plus beta square. This a gets cancelled. This 1 plus beta square can be broken into 1 plus iota beta into 1 minus iota beta to get 1 minus iota beta by 2. This is nothing but equal to 1 plus iota beta by 2. So the expectation value of the square of the momentum operator becomes 2b h cross square 1 plus iota beta by 2. This 2 gets cancelled, and b can be written as a over 1 plus iota beta, h cross square 1 plus iota beta. This gets cancelled, and we have finally a h cross square. Now I will rewrite the results. So we have the expectation values for these two operators as 0. The expectation value of the x square is 1 by 4 omega square, and the expectation value of the p square operator is a h cross square. So let's calculate the standard deviations. So sigma x is equal to square root minus, this is nothing but square root of 1 by 4 omega square minus 0. This becomes 1 by 2 omega, and sigma p is equal to square root minus square, this is equal to square root of a h cross square minus 0. Then we have square root a h cross. Now we are in a state where we can define the product of the standard deviations of the two operators. This becomes square, let me rewrite it properly, h cross by 2 square root a by omega, but omega is equal to square root a in over, let me rewrite omega. Omega is square root a by 1 plus beta square. So this 1 plus beta square will go in the numerator. So this becomes h cross by 2 1 plus beta square, and if you remember, beta is equal to 2h cross at by m. So finally we have the expression as h cross by 2 1 plus 2h cross at by m whole square. This is definitely greater than equal to h cross by 2, and the minimum uncertainty principle is satisfied at t equal to 0. At t equal to 0, the dot product is simply equal to h cross by 2. This is the minimum uncertainty principle. Hence, at the initial time itself, we have the minimum uncertainty principle satisfaction. So, thank you so much.